Hi, my name's Jennifer. I'm from Luna Yoga, and I'm going to show you the 5 most common poses that you'll see in a yoga class, starting with downward facing dog pose. So for downward dog, first of all, you want to make sure your fingers are spread out nice and wide and your hands are shoulder distance apart. And then your feet can be about hip distance apart. You can start on your hands and knees. And then you want to lift your hips up and back and try to make a straight line from your wrists all the way to your hips. So you mean to push your hips up and back. Eventually you'll want to get your legs straight as well, but often when you start, you'll need a little bit of a bend of the knees. So if you feel like you're in a more of a position like this, try bending your knees. See if it helps to get your hips all the way up and back. Find that straight line from wrists to hips, and then eventually work on straightening the legs. You could even do one at a time to sort of stretch out the hamstrings. So feet hip distance, hands shoulder distance, and we're trying to get like an upside down V shape. Second pose is plank pose. So in plank, you're bringing your shoulders directly over your wrists and trying to get your hips in line with your shoulders. So making sure not to sag down or be a little too high, but somewhere right in the middle, and you should feel your core muscles working to support the center of your body. Notice the hands and feet placement is the same for plank as it was for downward facing dog. So from plank pose, we'll go into what's referred to as chaturanga dandasana. It's a Sanskrit name. First variation, you'll do it with your knees on the floor. You want to shift your weight forwards. And here's the tricky part. You're going to bend your elbows, and you want to try to hug your elbows into the side of your body. So not out, but all the way into the side. And you want to lower so that you're halfway. From there, you could lower all the way down. So that would be like a first variation of chaturanga. The full variation would be with your legs straight and extended. So the legs are active. You shift your weight forwards. Bend your elbows, hug your elbows in, and you would lower just halfway. So you're hovering above the floor. I'm going to bring us all the way down to the floor for our next pose, which is Cobra pose. So Cobra pose, you would lift your head and your chest, hug your elbows in towards each other. So not out to the side, but all the way in. Make sure that your feet or your legs are not wide apart. You're still keeping your legs long and extended, and you're lifting with the muscles in your back. Eventually, as you progress in the yoga poses, you'll work to bring yourself up and higher in Cobra, but when you start, I highly recommend just lifting with the muscles in your back. I'm not even pushing with my hands at all right now. And you'll really work up the strength in your back to be able to support the pose as you go deeper, because it can be a deep back bend. Okay, so we've got Cobra pose. Now we're going to do upward facing dog. I'm going to bring my hands back a little further. Shift forwards and up. And then straighten out my arms so that my shoulders are right over top of my wrists. Arms are straight. And then feet are pointing straight back. And you want to push into your feet so that your knees and thighs are lifted off the ground. Right? So try not to let your hips just sag and your thighs on the floor, because that's really hard on your lower back. Push into your legs and lift your knees off the ground. That's going to help you engage your core muscles to support your lower back. Heart is pressing forward, shoulders are rolling back, and you're just lifting your eyes up towards the ceiling. Most often from upward dog, you're going to downward dog. So that means lifting with your core muscles to pull your hips all the way up and back into downward facing dog. I'm going to show you that, put all those 5 poses together as a flow, or not all 5 of them. I'm going to show you 2 flows. Let's do first variation would be inhale, plank. Exhale, so half chaturanga. I'm going to lower my knees, lower halfway, and then all the way. Inhale, Cobra. So I'm just lifting using my back muscles. And then exhale, seat to heels. I'm going to tuck my toes and downward dog. So we call that a flow or a vinyasa. So a second variation would be inhale, plank pose. Exhale, chaturanga, keeping the knees lifted. Inhale, upward facing dog. So I'm lifting my thighs off the ground. And exhale, downward facing dog. So those are some of the most common poses we'll see. Some of them may come to you a little quicker than others. It's a work in progress, so don't feel like you need to get them perfect right away. I've been practicing yoga for many years, and still sometimes these poses are more challenging, sometimes they come more easily. That's it. Thank you.